Hey guys, if you like this content, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys like the video and subscribed to my channel. It helps make these videos worth it going forward. Hey guys, Altcoin Sherpa here with a crypto market review. Today I will be reviewing altcoins from my Telegram group. Be sure to join that if you want to check some of my updates. I also post market reviews and all my tweets there. And today I also did a TA request for those people in my Telegram. So be sure to join that if you are interested. I'm just going to briefly look at BTC USD. I'm not going to go super deep into it. I will have a caveat on this video that if Bitcoin shits the bed, then pretty much all this analysis is probably just going to be bad. I mean, everything's going to be bearish. I recently posted a thread on BTC USD as well, where I am eyeing this 38K level as a potential area of interest. I mean, this area right here has been tapped over and over again, this 45K region. And the one-day market structure is also bearish in my opinion as well. You can see a trend, potential trend change here where you are seeing lower highs. So you see a bullish market structure here, high, higher high, higher high, followed by a potential lower high. And you see low, 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 higher low, and potential lower low here. And again, potential lower low again. So potential trend change on the daily. This is never good to see, of course. And this 45K area is being tapped over and over again. So if we see this right here, this area as 38K kind of region, an area of interest, this is like the area that I'm targeting. 43K will certainly have some sort of support in my opinion on the first tap, since it has not been tapped in quite some time, but the overall market structure on the daily does not look super good. So with that said, I'm very cautious right now. Certainly possible that 38K or so is kind of an area of interest for me. If this happens, then I expect to see a big shakeout for altcoins. I think that everything gets destroyed in this situation if BTC goes down to 38K. Certainly possible. I mean, if you hit really a fib from this entire kind of range, you can see some support kind of around these areas here. Where like the 0.5 region would be like 38K. And a 50% retrace is not unheard of at all in terms of Bitcoin. So this is an area of interest, of course, but let's just hope that kind of this 43K region continues to hold. It's like the 382 fib. This is also an area of support. So for now, it's still support, but if price spikes down, 38K would kind of be my level of interest myself. So yeah, let's just briefly look at some charts. These are all requests from my Telegram group, as I said, and let's just go to it. Link USDT. This looks decent. It's still a bullish structure, of course. As you can see, there is still high, higher high, low, higher low established. It's still a bullish trend in my opinion. The last well, really the entire time, it's just a bullish trend. There were some long slow periods though, where Link just basically ranged, as you can see right here. I mean, just kind of ping-ponged around in March and then went up, big dip down, and then it had another run. If Bitcoin shits the bed, then I wouldn't be surprised to see this go to like 30K. It's kind of like the area that I would look at. So you see like one big shakeout and then go up higher. But it's still a bullish trend for now. I mean, you can't argue anything else. Targets, I mean, if it depends. Targets are always very difficult to say because it depends on the style of trade that you are taking. Immediate level would be like kind of like this 50K area would be like my first target for many trades. But if you want to just assume this will go higher in the long term, certainly possible. Price could also ping pong as well and form a higher low, similar to how we saw this right here. but still bullish until shown otherwise. Cake USDT doesn't look that great, honestly. You see a decent trend change on the 4-hour, lower highs all across the board, lower lows. Pretty normal first tap of the 786 fib of this area, but when you look at prolonged downtrends, you might want to fib out the entire price action here. And in that case, you would see like 27K is kind of like the area of interest in that regard. Well, let me adjust the fib to the daily. This fib also works. So like 26 to 22 would be like my area to buy here. EMA wise, I mean, they're all turning bearish, I'm assuming, on like the 4-hour. And you can see this 200 EMA on the 4-hour is now kind of interacting as resistance. It's interacting a lot with the price, the red line. So for now, I'm bearish. But I believe that 26 and 22 could be decent entries for this one. You could also see kind of like a lot of sell volume coming in as well. VET, still looking somewhat bearish overall. It's just choppy. I mean, you hit potential kind of like this double top type of price action here. Top, came back up, hit it again, and now pulled back. So I expect to see more chop in general. This type of price action was seen across a lot of different coins. But if you want to start to look for other indicators, I mean, the EMAs are, this EMA is support here back in April, and again, support again in May, but now it's starting to act as resistance. So definitely watch out. It wouldn't surprise me to see this like chop around a little bit more. The trend is on high time frames is still bullish, but it's unclear where this is going in the short term. Wouldn't surprise me at all to see this go to like 15 as well. And do something like this, like, and then go up. XRP, BTC on the 1 day, it looks pretty okay for the most part, to be frank and honest with you. I mean, price went up, hit a pretty good retrace. Kind of like the 618 area. Depending on how you draw your fib too, you could also go higher, and then it's closer to the 786. But I mean, usually you want to stay somewhat consistent. And then now you just see it ping-ponging around. This is again pretty common price action in general. The 89 EMA has acted as good support over the last several times, but we'll see if that continues to hold in general. Price again hitting kind of these lower highs in general. So let's just see. I mean, this is still pretty choppy, but overall looks pretty good. Like in terms of the rest of the market, if Bitcoin shits the bed, then you want to look for like 85 cents or $1, I would say. But until that time, I may still kind of just still expect more chop, and then higher again. This area up near 185 should certainly have some resistance on the first go. CELR USDT, this looks pretty bad. Doesn't look great. There's nothing to really say. I mean, it had an absolutely insane run in February. I remember that all the way to March, and then it just is now, it's hitting a bearish trend. You can see lower highs across the board. You can see high sell volume coming in, and you can see every little pump. You know, these are having like lower volume pumps on the upside. So when you see that, they're usually just like bearish retests, and that's what we're seeing too. You can see like certain levels getting tapped over, and again, it's just going down further. You're seeing lower highs and like lower lows too. So what I would look for as a reversal here is for price to kind of just, I I would like to see like kind of a higher low established, higher than this, and then you'd want to see something like this happen, where it consolidates. Something like that would be like kind of decent in my opinion for a reversal for this. And like from a macro view, you would just kind of see this kind of go up like that. But let's just see. I mean, this is like not great as of right now, and it might need to like reset for a while too, similar to how we saw it do this price action. We're just kind of ranged for months, and this was obviously during the bear market where really nothing happened, and then huge moon moment, and then yeah, so we might just see something like this where we just like see it reset and just reaccumulate for a while and just ping pong around and then move up again. That might be one potential reversal pattern, or like another reversal pattern might be like a big move down if BTC shits the bed, a little consolidation, and then recovery. There's a lot of different potential situations, to be frank and honest with you. Near looks okay for now, but the market structure is still bearish. You're seeing this supply zone here where price hit this high around 750 and then broke down, and again went up to this same area. The supply zone broke down even more, and now we're seeing this wick up again. Now it's important to understand that these resistance areas, they get weaker and weaker every time it's tapped. Again, depends on the context, but for now, this is still bearish, but if price continues to hang around in this area, I will slowly become more and more bullish, because again, these orders are getting filled. You might see another rejection, and then something like this would make a lot of sense to me, in my opinion. So you see this go up, pull back to like 550, and then another test of this region. And if this area keeps getting picked at, then I think that this level breaking, it will go higher. But for now, it's still, let's just see again the reaction to the supply zone. So Ethereum Classic, huge move before, absolutely insane. This was my fib. I was targeting $91, and it looks like it would have potentially been good for a first bounce in May 12th, but then it slowly kind of is going down more and more. So we're seeing still high sell volume come in, and the trend on the 4 hour is clearly bearish, in my opinion. Still lower highs across the board, still lower lows. You want to look for some sort of consolidation on this one. Something like, where price just ping pongs around, kind of like this. So yeah, I mean, this is something that might certainly need a reset. I mean, it went from $36 to almost $200 in like a very short amount of time. So yeah, you might see something like you just saw for this price action here, where price, hit this huge run from $19 to $50, and then it consolidated for a long time from like pretty much all of April, and then it eventually moved again, right, from 30 to 200 or 180, and now it will probably do some sort of price action similar to this, but just on a larger scale. And as I always say, price is fractal. You see these patterns across all different time frames. So we might see something like this again, just on a more heightened scale. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see this go to like $67 though, if my fib is drawn correctly, which I am dubious on to begin with. I'm not really sure if it is or not, but seeing this kind of range and ping pong around, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Usually price needs a pretty big reset after it moves so big. So you would look for something like this like we saw in late April, for kind of this accumulation pattern. 1 inch, it looks this is the BTC pair. This looks okay. It's about to enter this this resistance area. Oopsies. It's about to enter this big resistance area here. I mean, you can already see one tap. It depends on how price gets through this area. If price blitzes up, I expect it to like fully retrace. If price slowly keeps grinding up like it has been, similar to this, then I expect it to go higher. I will say that there is a high chance that this 16,000 Satoshis area gets like a bigger reaction than what I just showed or drew. But if price grinds up through this area, I'm more bullish. But I still expect there to be some sort of reaction within this area from 13,000 to 16,000 Satoshis. Here's ramp. This one looks pretty gross. It's just bearish right now. I mean, you potentially have some hope with a potential higher low being formed right here, but overall, it's just like, yeah, it doesn't look great. I mean, this is just like an SR flip right here. This was support and a good reaction, blitzed on through and broke it really cleanly, and then a bearish retest right there. So, I mean, you also saw like a bearish retest right there as well. Like coins like this, there's not much price history, so you'll need to see this on lower time frame charts. But yeah, it's just bearish. There's no other way to cut this, in my opinion. You want to see some sort of reversal pattern in the sense that you look for like a double bottom, where price will kind of come back and then go higher. So something like this. Certainly something that happens though. Like if you are looking for a reversal, but I'm not saying this is a reversal for sure. I mean, this is like, it's still bearish. Like it doesn't really look great, to be frank and honest with you. No real targets to the downside. I mean, if you were trading this, then something like this area around 70 cents should be resistance. CHZ, this is consolidating, it looks like. We'll just continue doing this, in my opinion. You'll let the EMAs reset. This obviously had insane moves during NFT hype, and now it's just resetting. So still expect to see a lot of ping pong action. Don't expect this to move. This is a slower trade if you want to be in this one. Looks neutral overall. I mean, I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't. I mean, you can sell it too, but overall, if Bitcoin shits the bed, then expect to see this lower areas like 23 to get tapped. Badger, this was a popular one on Uniswap for a while, and this one is just it's just going all downhill. I mean, lots of big volume coming in early May, and these are just bearish retests overall. It is important to understand too, though, that when you do see these big wicks up, they are taking a lot of sellers out. So what I'm trying to say is when price does come back up to these areas, there won't be as many sellers because these wicks picked them off. But for now, it's just really bearish, in my opinion. I don't see any other argument for this otherwise, personally. Good project, but yeah, I mean, again, similar to ramp, you'd want to look for some sort of like double bottom to form. So double bottom or like a long accumulation pattern similar to this. NWC, everybody was interested in this one for a while. I never really bought it. It looks like it did pretty well actually in April, and yeah, I haven't opened this chart in a long time. Holy cow. Okay, so what we saw here was a long accumulation pattern where price really didn't do anything. I mean, if you bought it back in September 2020 and like waited 5 months, then you still would have like the same price overall. like in February, and then like a big explosive expansion. You saw again kind of like this bullish consolidation, more moves, huge volume coming in, and then this looks like a blow off top, to be frankly honest with you, because you can see high sell volume coming in, and the sell volume is really going to start showing up on lower time frame charts as well. So like something like this is concerning because it's really high sell volume relative to like everything else, and usually when you start to see something like this, that's when you should have some warning signs. It's really hard to tell though when this stuff is actually happening in real time. So yeah, I think that this right here, this was kind of your big sell candle, like distribution. And again, when price comes back up here, this is usually not, this is a good opportunity to sell as well. But again, easy to see in hindsight, never easy to see in real time. When you start to see stuff dip too, you can see like this, where it comes up and then breaks down again. So like these opportunities are not bad to sell in general. For now, it's just like ranging. You see like this kind of area holding as support. I mean, it has been tapped several times though, so these orders are getting filled. I personally think that there's going to be like a larger retrace. It looks to me like this area might be like the next area up around 82 cents. And you can see some price void as well, or some void in volume profile. So like 80 cents might be like the next level up. There will be another area of support around $1 too, but in general, it's still like a bearish coin to me. There's lots of sell volume coming in. I think this goes lower. XLM, this is a good, easy, this is a fairly safe trade in my opinion because of it being such a strong bullish trend in general. And if you think about adoption or like the normal retail coming in, like we're all obviously retail traders, but if you think about new people coming in, they're going to look for cheap coins, and XLM is like a coin on Coinbase. So that's like an argument I've seen like across many other people, and I totally can see that. This is still a clear bullish trend to me, where you see higher highs across the board, and you see higher lows across the board as well. So you see this continuing higher, and yeah, I mean, this is still like a pretty bullish coin in my opinion. Like it still looks good. If Bitcoin does shit the bed, then look for like 50 cents or so, or even lower in my opinion. It'll be like a violent spike down followed by like a pretty quick reversal, in my opinion, is kind of what we would see. Not sure how much of a reset we would need to see, but still nice volume coming in, still bullish trend. BTT, this one pulled back quite a bit. This is my fib. I'm using the 4-hour bodies. This is interacting a lot with the 618 fib. This still is barely hanging on. It's barely maintaining this level, but I mean, it looks like it wants to go lower, the 004 region. Kind of like right here. This is like kind of the area. So this is like, again, like the area that we're looking for right here. Yeah, I mean, again, this is this area of supports, 0035 area, and it wouldn't surprise me to see this hit this. And it makes sense given like this insane run before too. I mean, again, you need price to reset and pull back quite a bit. You know, this is still support though, this 0059 area, 006. This is still support for now. So, but it doesn't look great because it's getting tapped over and over again. REEF USDT, this looks okay for now. It's important to understand the context too, where you saw this big run up, price pulling back, another big run up, and then another big dip down. You are seeing this area getting tapped over and over again. And it's only a matter of time before 055 gets broken, in my opinion. That's like the level to break. But for now, it looks like it might just be going back to the EQ of the range around 0.35, which would be a solid entry. If you start to see price doing something like this, where it starts to grind and kind of slowly approach 0.55, then I think it's pretty comfortable to buy. Because this area, as I said earlier in the episode, we had this area being tapped over and over again, and the sellers are probably going to be mostly out around here. So wouldn't be surprised at all to see this break pretty easily. So sorry to go back on REEF. Yeah, I'm neutral on REEF. I want to see if it retests this EQ area again. This would be like an area of interest around 0.35, and I want to see how price gets to this 0.55 region. INJ, I am invested in this one, just a heads up. I still think it looks okay, but this recent price action is kind of weird. The reason why I thought this was decent looking is because it looks like it accumulated for quite some time, all the way to early February, all the way to mid-April, really. Hit a big run all the way up to $25, especially after some big investors, like I think Mark Cuban invested maybe. I can't remember the names off the top of my head. But then we saw a pretty swift pullback. And it's just really choppy overall, like this big wick. I don't know what this is, like some big whale like market buying this coin. I don't know, like something like that. But I mean, price pulled back pretty quickly and is now kind of back within near this range of $11 to $16. Overall, like I'm still bullish on this project long term. I think it's still like a pretty good project, but it still might just take more time. And it's okay. Like some of the EMAs, they are like still holding up in general. Like they're all tightening up. There is a lot of compression, but again, if Bitcoin shits the bed, then look at $11 or so. And I really want to emphasize too, for Bitcoin, if Bitcoin does dump, then I really emphasize having some cash. Like if you guys don't have any cash whatsoever, I would consider de-risking a little bit and having just a little bit of cash in your portfolio. That's always a good idea and something that I always struggled with in the past, but even more so now is like something that's important. I mean, MATIC, okay, so this is MATIC. MATIC is absolutely insane. Saw long accumulation periods overall on the 12-hour. So from March, you saw this accumulate, run up, accumulate, and now another run up. This looks really good. I mean, this reminds me of THETA back in some of those other charts that THETA has had, and THETA is very popular for having these bullish accumulation patterns. So yeah, still looks pretty good in general. Bullish accumulation, run, bullish accumulation, run, and now it's still going up. Not quite sure. I always thought like $2 would be kind of like my area of interest. I mean, it's psychological. It makes sense that price would stall out a little bit near there. But you see here, yeah, I mean, it's pretty whatever accumulation pattern or whatever continuation pattern you want in terms of bullish patterns, MATIC has done it. So still looks really good. I mean, still bullish, still nice volume coming in. Yeah, $2 would be my target. But start to watch out for like this distribution pattern. If it starts to come, you'll want to see price. I mean, distribution can happen in a few different ways. Like it's quite possible price just kind of does what it did back in May, like early May. You know how you saw this like bullish accumulation pattern. It could just range here. It could have like a deeper pullback though as well. Certainly if Bitcoin does not do well, something like this. There's a lot of different reversal patterns though, so you'll just have to see what happens. I mean, see the closes, look at the volume, look at lower time frame charts. Still bullish until shown otherwise. AXS BTC, this is one that is interesting to me. Interesting to always note that these highs and these lows, these wicks are always good SR levels, and in this case it's resistance. This big blow off top in early April, Price wicked up to it, came down, wicked up again, broke down. Had a more sustainable grind, but again, broke down. So this area around 20,000 Satoshis should be getting picked off for the most part. So I'm thinking that most of the sellers are probably out. But, you know, if you want to look at how price gets there, I don't think that 20,000 will be resistance very much for much longer. It still looks pretty good to me, though. SNX USDT, I think this looks really good. But again, caveat, like BTC is something to watch for. Insane volume coming in. That's something to really note. Like, we haven't seen this big buy volume in ever on the daily. Yeah, ever on the daily. So, and this is on Binance. Maybe it's on some other exchange. But you can see, again, sellers around this region are getting picked off over and over again. So, still bullish on this. I mean, if you want to buy, you can try to target like 18 bucks. That would be decent to me in the short term. But if Bitcoin shits the bed, 13 bucks or so. But this chart itself looks great in my opinion. Like it's wicking up into this resistance area, which has already been tapped several times. So SXP, I thought looks pretty good. You can see this sell zone around $5. Sellers come up here, big reaction, and it comes back up, and another decent sized reaction. This again is pretty common. It depends on how much time is spent in between each peak for the double top, but you'll want to see something like this where price just kind of like ping pongs around and consolidates and then goes up again. Sometimes it'll hit a head and shoulders where it'll come back up and then it'll break down. That's certainly a possibility. Of course, I'm never saying never, but I mean, to me, like the BTC pair still looks really good. There's still decent volume coming in. Yeah, I think this is still okay. I mean, if again, caveat, BTC shoots to the bed, 250 or so would be my region. Band looks okay, but it doesn't look super good. I mean, it pulled up, hit this double top, and now pulling back again. I mean, this trend line is still kind of intact, depending on how you want to draw it. I mean, trend lines in general are subjective, as is all TA, with the way that we do it. Still looks okay for now. Like this 200-day EMA was support, and it's been support all throughout this run. But I guess this one is taking longer than I thought. I thought it would actually start moving a little bit faster, but it really hasn't moved as fast as I thought it would. Like, because there are these chunks of accumulation that are happening here, and I always thought that because of the way that price accumulated after this dump, like you see these like long consolidation periods, it's disappointing that price hasn't been able to break higher. But I mean, again, similar to other charts, these sellers around $20 probably are mostly out, I would guess. So if price revisits that region, I think that we see some sort of reaction around $22 again. But in terms of it being like a super bear level, I think that most of the sellers mostly are probably out. So I would expect something to see like that. BNB, this looks pretty bad, to be frank and honest with you. Potential bearish test of this trend line. Price couldn't break above it cleanly. I mean, it broke there, but then it's closing below. Highish sell volume coming in general. This looks a bit scary. And this is not really a super good accumulation type of continuation pattern. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see BNB cool off, like to go something like $450 or something like that, or even lower. It's possible. BSC is still like a good network though, so I don't know. Like, I guess we'll see. XTZ, Tezos, it looks pretty good. Bullish trend for sure still, I think. It's still higher highs and higher lows. Higher highs, higher lows. Still good for now. Would like to see these 430 lows being held, so I want to see price like hold above and then go higher. But let's just see. I mean, it's a good move for sure, but it'll need to reset a little bit as well. And you can also see kind of like this mini double top thing as well. S&M BTC. Well, I don't know what this gap is. It's like a CME gap. I don't know what this is. There's nothing to say about this coin. I don't know what to say about it. This chart's weird. As I don't know what this type of price action is. Just like, this is an old coin. I remember actually trading this back in the day, like back in 2019. It looks weird. I mean, it had this massive blow off top, and now it's pulling back. More downside likely, in my opinion. Atom USDT looks decent. Kind of this bullish accumulation pattern, in my opinion. Price picking at this kind of sell region around $25, $26, $26 to $30. And it's been tapped several times. And yeah, this is in the makings of a potential bull trend, because you see a higher high with a high at $28 and a higher high at 32 with higher lows established. But I'm bullish on this project in general, but in the short term, I mean, it still looks bullish, don't get me wrong. Like, but I'm still worried about BTC. Like, if BTC comes, then $20 should certainly come, in my opinion. THETA looks okay, but pulling back. Bearish trend on the 12-hour, in my opinion. Lower highs formed. Not really a lower low, though, so we could just still see more consolidation. Like, yeah, I think we just still see more consolidation. I'm neutral on THETA. It looks fine, but I think that maybe like 750 might be coming too. It would make sense with some of the other EMAs too. Like the 200 EMA would be a good entry, and it hasn't been tapped in a long time. 750 would be like my area of interest there. TRX looks fine to me, but potential lower high formed. So you hit this like kind of double top, and then price is just chopping around. Good test of the 12-hour 89 EMA, and this is just kind of a neutral coin to me. Like, potential bearish trend on the 12-hour, but let's just kind of see, I guess, because you saw this low, and then you see a lower low, and then lower high as well at 16 cents. So overall, like, neutral on this coin. It's kind of bunched in the same old coins, though, like EOS and EO, and those kind of coins did well recently. So you know, this area is support for now, still, this 10 cents area. But let's just see. I don't know. I'm bullish on it, or I'm sorry, I'm neutral on it. I wouldn't really buy it or sell it myself. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for the submissions. I hope you guys liked this. Join the Telegram if you want to see more updates. Thanks.